I'm not used to talking to a camera, but I wanted to just start something where I can channel my creativity and also just get like all of the thoughts that are in my head somewhere. And it's not to become an influencer or to make money. It's literally just because I feel like I have so many things I want to talk about and I don't know where to put them. And of course I have my community to rely on when it comes to that, but I also just want like a journal of sorts where I can put this information and then also just maybe see the evolution of it all. I always joke with my friends that there are so many subjects that I feel like I could give a TED Talk on, and I feel like that's the sentiment of a fair amount of people as well. But as someone who's really interested in sociology and philosophy and spirituality and science and just trying to find where it all comes together harmoniously in this lifetime is super interesting and fulfilling to me. And so having somewhere to put that is gonna be really cool. And again, I'm trying to work really hard on removing the commodification of my hobbies. I think that so often in this modern day, it's hard to do anything without feeling like you need to make money off of what you're doing, off of what you love. And I think that there is truth in that, you know, like the Japanese term of ikigai, which is basically finding fulfillment in the work that you do. I'll put maybe a graphic of that here. Again, this video is going to be the first time of me trying to do any of this. And so I think that there is truth behind that concept of really finding fulfillment through what you love and then also making money from it. And that's, you know, probably most people's goal in life and mine as well. And so maybe, you know, like if this turns out to be really enjoyable for me and there's an opportunity to make an income from it, that's great. But that is not my goal. I was debating between a podcast and doing this. Again, not to like have any listeners or anything, but just to have a place where I can express creativity and thoughts. And maybe, you know, people in my life or, you know, people who stumble across it, it will be helpful for them. All of that being said, this is going to be a labor of love of trying to figure out how I can remove my ego from creative tasks. So I chose videography because I want to learn how to take cool videos and how to make engaging videos and stuff like that, even without a talking head in it. Just like in general, I think it's a really interesting thing to learn. Anyways, so I just want to introduce myself. If you stumble across me, I guess, or you're one of my friends, hey, what's up? My name is Bryn. I am currently a master's student at Duke University. I'm getting my master's in environmental management, which basically just means environmental science and protection and learning how we can manage our environment. What really interests me in a more, you know, professional setting is merging traditional ecological knowledge with Western practices that will become more prominent as time moves forward, but it's also something you have to tread really carefully with. As someone who's not traditionally Indigenous, I want to be very cautious with the way that I choose to approach this and learn about this concept. You know, learning about cultures and traditions and all the knowledge that's offered within them and the wisdom that lies there means that you have to have the invitation to learn from these communities or these tribes or these groups of people and not insert yourself. And so I think a lot of the time when we think of modern day Western science and using traditional ecological knowledge or, you know, Indigenous wisdom in the solutions to a lot of environmental problems, it can be extractive and exploitative. And so it needs to be like a very symbiotic relationship where people want to share these practices. But I'm also really passionate about merging science with spirituality. I think that as time moves on, we're continuing to see this huge shift towards science proving Eastern beliefs and religion, which I think is so cool. And so as someone who's very spiritual, it's just been really fulfilling to see both sides of my brain kind of get reaffirmed, where on one side I have this like profound spiritual experience where I get to just like journey through these different stages of embodiment that's just like enhanced over and over again, where I'm like, okay, this is validating. I feel myself growing. I feel myself coming to peace. I feel myself shedding these layers of hurt or these narratives that exist in my head, and I know I'm on the right path, and like I feel anchored into this spiritual side of myself, and it means a lot to me. Not spiritual in a religious sense, by the way. And then there's the side of my brain that's like more scientific, where she's like, well, where's the evidence for this? Like, how do you know it's not a placebo effect? How can you prove this? Is there, you know, a control group? Maybe it's, you know, this other thing. Like, how do you know there's not confounding variables? You know, all that stuff. And so there's just that constant back and forth where I'm like, oh, I feel really validated by these beautiful practices. And then on the other hand, it's like, are you sure? Like, should you be? Like, let's question that. And so, yeah, just having a way to really talk about that, maybe from both sides, I think would be really interesting and not something that is necessarily in the modern narrative right now. If, you know, people started to really align with themselves and to shed narratives and wounds and start to work on embodying love and compassion, it would be a paradigm shift, and we know that. And so I think that making accessible and believable and provable is like super important, and if I can aid in that paradigm shift, then I would love to. The last thing I want to do is to introduce myself without all the labels. I think that this is a really fun practice. I love asking my friends to do it, and I love doing it. And so, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna do like a little 360. Hello. My journey on this earth so far has evolved in many ways. Something that is really important to me is feeling connected to the world around me. I am a huge believer in energy. I think that it is an element that is not recognized or understood as being as powerful as it is. I think energetics is kind of the creation of life, and maybe even like the traditional term for God. I really believe in energy, and I think that because of that, something that is so important to me, especially in this moment of my life, and something that I have been a very obsessive student of, is learning how to love. And I think that this is something that is not taught to most people how to do correctly. We have the modern idea of love, which has been completely conditioned into us from a very young age, of what monogamous love and love in general looks like, and mostly revolves around this premise of family and romance. And the romance is what's mostly pushed in our face, and also like the family love is not talked about enough because it's not easy and sometimes not even the best thing for you. And so I think for me, reevaluating what love looks like and choosing to define it myself has been really important, and learning that I can love in so many ways. Friendships are just, if not more important in my opinion, and it's not always been easy trying to figure that out. I haven't always felt like the best friend that I could be, and that's because no one really teaches you how to be a good friend or what that looks like. Just learning how to love and how to go about life in this heightened frequency where I feel that pipeline of love, and I don't want to say enlightened energy, but it really does feel very like golden, like I am connected. Just learning how to love better, and even in small ways, like I'll never kill a spider. It's always gonna go outside. I'll even cry if I kill a cockroach. I know that might be weird for some people, but like, I'm never gonna do that. That's not who I am. And so just like small ways where I'm like, how can I cultivate more love? And that also includes cultivating love for myself. And I feel really empowered by how much love I give myself and how much care I give myself. I think that that is all I wanted to cover in this video. Now you kind of know more about me, if you didn't already, or just kind of like what my goals are for this creative space, and appreciate you tuning in. That's my 2 cents for today, and thank you for tuning in. Okay, bye.